Reach shoulders. Breathe in and out. Okay. So today let's look at how you handle the bokken. I have a bokken with me, but if you don't have a bokken with you, it's okay. Look around the house and see if you can find something to substitute for this. Anything that gives you a sense of one end and another, a sense of weight, balance. So for example, I found this old bottle in the house. It's just kind of heavily weighted in the bottom. And there's a bit of a handle neck on it. And that gives me a sense of weight over here and something I can lift and press and work with this weight and balance. A classic substitute is a handle of a mop or broom. But now here's a little nesting table I have in the living room. And I can work with this with the weight here to get a sense of the weight, how it feels when the weight is near my body at the hand. Or I can turn it around, put that weight out away from me and start to work with it that way. Start to feel the weight out at the end, away from my head. I can take the leg right off of this. It gives me something a little bit lighter and a little bit shorter. I seem to remember this being easy to take off, yes. So here's a situation. Now I have a smaller weapon, but it's a practice weapon. This one's made of metal, so it's got a little bit of weight to it. There's even a foot at this end, so it feels a little bit different if I hold this end or this end. So get creative and look around your house, see what you can repurpose as a substitute bokken. Okay, so let's look at and if you have a small space, you might want to invest in a wakizashi. So it gives you a little bit sense of the shape and all the features and landmarks of the sword, but it's smaller in here. So I'm going to work with this to go over the grip. You want to find this landmark on your hand, the big knuckle at the base of the index finger, and find that line down to the heel of your hand. Find that line. It looks like this on this side, but here in the palm of your hand, and you want to lay that line right on the top of your weapon, your practice weapon, whether it's wakizashi or your bottle, right? You can lay that right at the end. Still get a sense of the grip and how it feels to have weight at away from your hand. I'm going to use this bottle as a practice, and you can see that the little finger should be right at the edge of your weapon. Not too far, don't choke up on it like this, and not completely off the end, but right at the end. So this is seated in the heel of your hand, and the little finger is wrapped around. This knuckle of the base of the index finger right on top. Here, base. Here's how it looks with the full bokken. It's a little bit bigger handle, right at the base of the hand, little finger. All right, so not like this, not like this, but right here with the knuckle on top. And then find the same landmark on your other hand, and again lay that right on top. So when you have two together, they both position on the weapon the same way. All right, let's take a little closer look with one hand. You want to use a motion of pressing the heel of your hand down. As you press your hand down, the tip comes up. So take for a moment your other hand and find this motion coming down into your hip. Right? You start from neutral wrist, and then draw down, pressing down through your heel of your hand. So neutral to down. Be careful that you don't use the upper part of your arm to lift, right? You don't lift away from your hand here as a reference mark. Don't lift away, but press down to lever the tip up. So feel that. This is an opportunity while you're at home. You can pick up different weights. It will feel different. You can even take a heavy saucepan, something in your kitchen where the weight is significant out away from your hand, and practice sending the hand down to bring the tip up. And when you can connect this to your whole body, if this was very heavy, I would have to sink my center under it in order to bring it up. Right? Imagine something that heavy come under it. So it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but if you internalize that feeling, make it smaller so that you make the slightest shift in your hip and knee to bring the tip up. Now your arm is working even less as your whole body is involved in that motion. smaller and smaller and smaller until you can't really see any movement from the outside, but you know inside that there's something happening here in your legs, the way you connect to the ground to bring that tip up. You bring the tip up by sending everything else under it. Let's try it with my table here. All right, the weight is out at the end. It's quite heavy. Now I can get some good feedback on my ability to send and use my legs and my center and send the heel of my hand down to lift the tip. All right? Can you see the difference between this and this? I can feel that in my back. I can feel that in my arm. Lifting, don't lift. Press underneath to lever it up. All right? If I turn my table around this way, I can really feel the weight at this end, and it helps me send my hand down. I can really get that feeling, oh, it wants to take this end down to lift that up. That's easy. So now how can I replicate that feeling, that sense here? Now it's harder. The weight's out there. I can feel this part of my arm working already. How can I press this down, use my whole body to lift it up by levering under it? Okay, so this concept is something you can practice at home, all different weights. Maybe you have a rake, anything that gives you a sense of weight at one end. And then you can take that principle into your lighter weapon. Now my bokken feels so light. So if you work with something heavy, then you pick up your bokken and it feels very light and easy to handle. Right? So this is the idea of a suburito. You get a very heavy practice weapon. You learn how to use your whole body to bring that tip up. And then you get the lighter weapon in your hand and it doesn't seem so heavy. Because you've learned, your whole body's learned how to work with bringing that tip up, work with the weight and balance. All right, so let's do some one-handed suburi. You can choose your right hand or your left hand. Maybe practice 10 times on one side and then 10 on the other. Press the heel down to bring the tip up. And I'm going to exaggerate a little bit so you can see there's a little motion in my knees, a little sinking in my hip. There's something I'm doing in my core muscles here to get under it. So imagine, this is, sometimes we say imagine it's heavier than it is. Well, you can actually practice with something around the house that's significantly heavier. See if you can internalize all of this, smaller and smaller, but still clearly connected to the ground, and leave it. Do the other side. Start from neutral and lever it up. All right, let's go back to the grip again and look at something a little more closely. If I grip with my little finger, ring finger, and thumb, I'm going to turn around this way. If you squeeze with those fingers, you can feel this muscle working, this muscle that follows the ulna up to your elbow. Squeeze with the little finger, ring finger, and thumb into the heel of your hand and feel this muscle. That you want that feeling because you can tie that muscle into the larger muscles of your back and your center and next to the ground. If you use the index finger, middle finger, and thumb, squeeze with those fingers and your thumb and feel this muscle working. This muscle that wraps along the radius up towards your elbow, can you feel that? So look for that feeling. You can easily get tendonitis if you overuse that. So we emphasize not using that line, but instead Find that little finger, ring finger, and thumb. And this is an indicator for you. This little muscle, you can feel it working. Not that you should overuse these small muscles, but it's an indicator for you. And when you're using these muscles underneath, along the ulna, then you can tie that more clearly into your lats, muscles of your back, using your full body. Leave it at the top. All right, so find your back foot, bend in the back knee, and draw your practice weapon up. Shift your weight back a little bit. Imagine you had a huge tree branch in your hand. You would need to use your whole body to bring it up. So exaggerate a little bit so that you can feel how you use the ground, your legs, to bring the tip up. And then make it smaller and smaller and smaller. And you can check yourself from time to time to see your hand is going down, down each time, or whether you're actually lifting up and away. So using your other hand just as a reference mark, or maybe a table or a railing as a reference mark. One other factor I want to look at is the angle. So if we had a triangle or a protractor here, you could measure this angle. If I send this through, then it's large, so you can see that, right? You want a 60-degree angle. So I'm going to hold it here, but if you were to slide that through, is this angle around 60 degrees? Okay, if you are holding it like this, it closes that up, right? That's much less than 60 degrees. You don't want your hand in that position. You don't want to tax these muscles across your thumb and your wrist. And you don't want to hold it like this either. That's almost 90 degrees, see that? So look for 60 degrees and then reestablish your grip. All right? So you go from what we say a neutral wrist to this shape. We could call it radial deviation, but you don't want to get caught in ulnar deviation. All right? So don't do this. Don't do this. Fine. Here's your marker to check yourself. 60 degrees, that's wrist neutral. Then press the heel down to create this shape. And that is going to allow you to bring the tip up. When your sword or your practice weapon is almost vertical, it's almost weightless, yeah? That kind of feeling. When it's weightless, that's a great time to put it on the top of your head. It's very weighty out here, but once you leave the tip up, you can lift it, put it above your head. So let's look at the bokken, yeah? Find your feet, the ground, your hips, your knees. The left hand now at the very end, right hand up here. Your right hand is soft, it's like a passenger. Let your left hand initiate movement. You actually initiate your movement from your center using the ground and your leg. But in terms of left-right, put a little more emphasis on the left hand because people tend to overuse the right. So think of tying your left hand, the heel of your left hand, into this full body motion. And the right hand is just taking a ride. It's a passenger. Send the tip up, lever the tip up. As it gets lighter and lighter, that's when you can put the whole thing on top of your head. Right? Think of the left hand at the crown of your head, not just here, right? Sometimes you see this. Don't do this. Instead, bring it up to the crown of your head. There's a rolling in the upper ribs, an extension through your spine. Extend your spine, open your chest, upper ribs rolling, left hand up above the crown of your head. Now, check out your elbows. You don't want them too far like this, right? You want them in front. So that elbow precedes the tip. Squeeze with your left hand. And down. Now, let's break this down. As you squeeze with that left hand and the tip starts forward, you want gravity to take over. Gravity will always bring your weapon down nice and straight. It's only these tensions in your body, differences between left and right that make it wobble on the way. But if you can, in a sense, let it go, let gravity drop, then your weapon will come down straight in time. So don't interfere with that. But how do you stop it? Well, let's take a moment to not stop it. Just feel gravity take it. Send it. You send that tip forward by squeezing with your left hand, pumping a little bit from the back foot so that your weight starts to shift forward. And that's enough to slap that sword off the top of your head and it comes forward. So feel that. So your arms are not in the way. That slight motion from your foot, your knee, your glutes, starts to shift your weight forward. That's all it takes to send the weapon forward. That's all it takes to take it off of your head and send it on its way. Arms are not really involved. You just have to let them get out of the way. So feel that. And then how are we going to stop it? Well, you're holding it very gently, letting gravity do the work, holding it as gently as you would hold a bird or an egg. Don't crush it. But then when it gets down to the level of your belly, squeeze slightly and then release again. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. When? Right there. Not here. Right there. There's a sense of laying it on the table. If there's a tabletop in front of you, let it just fall. Lay on the table, that parallel quality, right there at the level of your belly. So it finishes 1 fist away from your belly, approximately. Match that with the shifted weight. For now, just find your funny stance, shift weight forward and back. We'll tie that hip turn in later, but for now, just feel the weight shift. Try to get musculature of the arms or upper body out of the way of the motion. Let the upper ribs roll. Extend your spine so it's up high. Sometimes we practice way up here just to exaggerate that and really good feeling for the weapon above your head. Sometimes we just put the left hand right on the crown of the head. The hand knows where the head is, and the head knows where the hand is. Sometimes that helps you get a sense of exactly where your practice weapon is relative to your body, top of your head. You feel where the tip is. Don't drop the tip. You feel where it is relative to your head. The feeling in your left hand will tell you a lot about where the tip is. Shifting weight. All right, so now let's tie in the hip turn. So if I just shift my weight forward and back, these two hips remain constant relative to the wall out in front of me. But if I shift my weight and then turn the hip, I'm going to turn the hip and bring the sword down so that the hip turn and the cutting through of my target, those two happen together. So think of it as a slow motion. It's the hip It's the shift of weight that gets the weapon going. But when you're actually cutting through your target, you're turning your hip. Shift, weight, send it on its way, turn your hip as you cut through. When you turn your hip, be careful that you don't send your knee out away from your foot. See that maybe in a smaller screen. You don't want to turn your hip and sacrifice the knee. Keep the knee in the frame of your foot. The knee travels from your heel to the forefoot. Heel to the forefoot. Stays in the frame of the foot, not this way or that way. Look at it this direction. Don't go this way or that way. Keep the knee in the frame of the foot. The knee travels from the heel to the forefoot. That's generally plenty of space. Move your center in. So, as you cut and you turn your hip, keep the knee in the frame of your foot. This hip is going back, the knee is going forward. Lever the tip up by pressing the hand down. Weight is back. Then drive forward and turn your hip. Squeeze slightly to stop it. So we're putting it all together now. You have this initiation. You have the shift the weight back. You have the squeezing position. Shift your weight forward and then turn your hip and squeeze, release, stop the tip so that it doesn't fall. And you don't want to stop it up here either. The tip is just slightly above the handle. This part of your sword, the heel of the hand, is the lowest point. We doing okay with audio? I hear there's not big feedback. Okay, so we have a couple more minutes. All right, so let's do a couple of suburi practices. We did shifting just forward and back, shifting forward and back. One hand, the other hand. It's really helpful to practice one-handed and two hands. This time, step as you raise and cut as you step forward. Raise, feet together, step back and cut. Raise, feet together, come forward and cut. Step back and cut. Step forward and cut. Easy to get out of rhythm, right? Here's an example. Let's see. I step and then cut. Or I cut too early and my foot is not grounded yet. So you can really work on upper and lower body coordination so that it's at the top of your head and your feet are together. And you place that foot, and as you shift weight, turn your hip and cut. Together. Step back, turn your hip as you cut. All right, so if you're in a small space, you can just do one step forward, one step back, then change the other side. But keep your hands, left is always at the bottom, and right, it's going to feel different on this side. So if my left foot is forward, my left hand is here, I've got to tuck this arm in softly. Don't get jammed up. You have to tuck the arm into your rib, the elbows and close to my ribs. Okay. Now there's variation is feet together, wiping above your head, step back. Feet together, and then step back with your other foot. Step back into humming. Step back into humming. So when you step back into humming and you turn your hip, your sword should clear your body, right? Make sure you're not here. Should clear your body. Thank you for artisan for this slight exercise in sensing whether your body's out of the way of your sword. Humming. Out of the way. Feet together, knees together, top of your head, everything aligned. Step back and cut. Your weight is forward. Step back and cut. Keep that recruitment in your body. Where's your knees in the frame of your foot? Feet together, this time step forward. Return and step forward. So now you have to shift weight. All my weight is on both feet. Now I have to put all my weight in the left foot so that my right foot is free. Come forward. Okay, let's look at sampo. So for sampo, just think of 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. Shomanuchi, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Shomanuchi. Sampo. Moving, walking, doing the cutting motion relative to the body motion. Got a small space, then just do 1 step or 2 steps back. But for the exercise, sampo, 3. Okay, so we focused a lot on shomanuchi, but this idea that we worked on is still relevant on our keisa. I'm going to leave the tip up to my shoulder. Now I'm working with this diagonal, shoulder to hip, hip to shoulder. Imagine cutting through the shoulder and hip of someone in front of you who's the same size as you. Again, shifting weight. As I do keisa, I'm going to turn my hip. The rotation is actually in the front hip joint, but the back hip, it goes back. When I'm here, that's when my wrist is in that shape of the radial deviation. And then as I shift weight and release, it goes to neutral. Neutral. Don't finish your cut like this. Right? See that? It's too much. Take care of your tendons. From here, I can turn my hip to bring the tip to my center line. Step forward, bring it to the other shoulder. Shift weight, turn. Step back. It all begins with center, turning the hip. That brings my tip to the center line. Bring it up to the other shoulder. Step back and cut. Step forward. Pass through the center line. Now we can turn this into 3 steps. 1. Turn your hip to transition. 2. Turn your hip, turn your shin. Breathe. Now going backwards. 1, 2, 3. Work with the timing of your upper and lower body when you shift your weight, when you turn your hip. Okay, ski. For ski, there's many ways to do ski, but for sampo, we do this style with the arm tied into your body, like you're holding a heavy thread. Elbow tied into your ribs. Hold the weapon. This is my left hand, your right on top. You want to be able to shift your weight. And I've oriented my sword not this way, but this way. The hop or the cutting edge is to my open side. There's the back or spine. You can imagine inserting the blade between the ribs of your partner. So the blade edge is toward the sternum. So then when you step and you go to the other side, it's coming into the side, in between the ribs. Right? So you're orienting the blade, turn ahead, step forward, insert. All right, let's look at that again. So from here, your left hand is going to turn as you turn your hip. Forward, weight finishes forward, blade is turned. This is my open side. This is where the blade is. So not this way. This way. Right? The target could be low, it could be high, but for this exercise, imagine it's sliding between the ribs, and the tip is just slightly higher than your hip. Right? So if your left foot is forward, you're going to take a step forward with the right foot, turn your hip, turn the blade. Now, my open side is to my left. The hop or the cutting edge is facing to the left, my open side. Step, turn, step. Main thing going on in this exercise is watching to what degree you integrated the body movement so that the weapon moves as a result of your whole body motion, right? So if I see something like this on the test, that's disconnected. Don't do that. Try to make the whole body motion. That's the movement that moves the weapon. Now going backwards, it's a little bit counterintuitive. You step back in order to shift forward. Step back to shift your weight forward. So maybe it helps to imagine you're just shifting the mind, creating space so that you can make good use of the length of your weapon. Step back to effectively move forward. And your arms are tied into your body. Don't overextend. So, sampo, forward, forward, forward. Step back, shift forward. Step back, shift your weight forward. Okay, so let's review. Shonuchi, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Kesa. Diagonal. Diagonal. Going backwards. Keep your weight forward. As you finish your stroke, your weight is in the forward phase. See? And go backward. Shift back, shift forward. That's it. Sampo, 3 ways. Shonuchi, ski, kesa. Well, let's finish up with a basic Shihogiri. There's a zillion ways to do shihogiri, but let's do this basic one. I'll show it from different angles. One side, right foot forward and cut. Pivot, and the left piece forward as you cut. Turn to your right, right piece forward and cut. Turn 180 degrees, left foot forward and you cut. That's it. Let's start from the left foot. So you're going to slide your foot forward and cut at the same time. Pivot, raise, cut on the other side. Turn, raise, cut 90 degrees. Pivot. Let's look at it from this direction. Right foot forward, slide and cut. Pivot and raise and cut. Turn, raise, cut. Pivot, cut. Now, without so much talking, we'll just run through it. One more time this way, right foot. One more time this direction, left foot. Many different variations. That's just one. Okay, let's finish for today. Oh, ありがとうございました。